Hello, I wanted to give you our insights from scores of visits to Italy on which cities are appropriate for you, and just give you our own opinion on some of the strengths and weaknesses of some of Italy's top cities. You can keep in touch with us on Italian-heart.com, and there's also lots on the website about Italian culture and life, and getting your own cuore italiano in every way that you can. First of all, Turin belies its industrial heritage and has got some really good museums and galleries, and is fairly chic, but not the place we'd go to for much street walking, although the architecture is okay. Milan obviously has got the Duomo, which you must visit, and the Michelangelo frescoes off to the west of the city, or you can just wander through the Galleria to La Scala and then down to the area around Via Monte Napoleone, Via Gesù, some of the nice little stradine with little coffee bars and people watch, and you can really just get a great feel for the work ethic in Milan. Work is the father of pleasure, and it really does come across here. These people really work hard and play hard, and obviously the city oozes style. And if you love shopping, this is the place. If you love the massive power of the Duomo, it's just the most amazing place to visit. Parma is a great city nestling between Milan and Bologna, and has had such industrial success with its global food businesses over the last 30 years that it just oozes richness now. And in fact, you mentioned Parma to a lot of Italians and they would say una città ricca immediately. E si mangia bene. You eat well in Parma because of all the gastronomy. Take a tour out of the city up on the foothills of the Apennines, and you can go to Langhirano, where most of the ham is produced and cured, or Felino, which is famous for its salami. And you can have then a really nice drive back down to the city and look at the amazing square with the Cathedral and the baptistry. Wander across to the Farnese Museum with a very famous old wooden theatre, and the old palace where the ruling Dukes and Maria Louisa herself used to live. A great atmosphere here, although the shops can be a little bit snooty, and the restaurants are clearly there, feeling it's their God-given right to give you the best gastronomic experience of your life. Venice is somewhere that you would only go to just appreciate the splendid architecture and obviously the amazing layout, and try and go on Carnivale when there are more Italians around. But you could be standing in a square and imagine that you're in Times Square, New York, or Piccadilly Circus. Such is the international nature of the clientele that you are with. So it's a very touristy place, and some prices can be 2 or 3 times more than they are on the mainland and in other normal Italian cities for things like taxis and drinks. So enjoy the splendour while you can. Try and go out of season. Watch your pocket. Bologna is again a city with an entirely different character and personality, a university town with very little tourism and a great reputation for food because it's clearly the capital of Emilia-Romagna, where Parma is, and benefits from all of the same local produce. And you can wander the streets here, you can get around the city very quickly, it's not that large, and find all sorts of beautiful stores displaying amazing wares for produce and fish and meats, and obviously amazing Parma ham. You can find lots of lovely little restaurants in Bologna too. You'll find the architecture quite austere to start with, but then it grows on you, as do the galleried main streets, which clearly benefit from the Roman influence. but for character and just normal Italian university town life, Bologna is one of the top ones. Florence, on the other hand, clearly has a lot of the tourism of Venice, a lot of the architectural beauty and amazing museums like the Uffizi. Try and travel out of the city to some of the palaces and parks that are just on the edge, and go across the river to the area that just starts to go uphill a little bit, and you can find, again, interesting trattoria to eat at there rather than the real touristy places that are in the centre of the city. But clearly there's such beauty and history here to savour. But we would recommend staying out of town in the hills while you're there. Rome has got a splendour all its own. Feel the soul of the tens of thousands who perish in the Coliseum when you stand inside. It's an amazingly spiritual place. And wander through then to the main areas with several beautiful squares, marvel at the Pantheon, marvel at Piazza Navona, and then walk through to obviously the Vatican and feel that you're in somewhere very special. And take in the food and find little street restaurants that are just off centre. And Rome has got such a scale that you don't feel crowded out by tourists. There are always a lot of Italians coming from all over the country themselves to spend weekends there, and it really is a splendid city that warrants its capital status. Naples has got a lot of surprisingly good history itself from when it was the capital of Rome, and there are some beautiful palaces and galleries that you can look at, and some very interesting street cafes. Obviously, you can soon get into the areas that are residential, lots of almost tenements and long streets where you have to just be a little bit careful and try never to take a taxi that's going to go around the autostrada around the outside to get somewhere like the airport, because the second they can put their foot to the floor, they will. And you will never have been driven by anyone quite like that. But of course, around the Bay of Naples, you've then got Sorrento, and you've got the gorgeous island of Capri. Take the ferry there and wander up to the villa of Tiberius with very nicely preserved Roman ruins, and then look back across the bay and along down the Amalfi Coast. And finally, we wanted to include Cagliari here in southern Sardinia because it's got its own charm, and you can wander up and down the hilly streets and find minimal tourism but great character and some interesting bars and restaurants and very friendly people. So that completes our quick appraisal of the cities that have different strengths and weaknesses for Italian heart. You'll be developing yours if you stick with us on Italian-heart.com. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll see you soon. Arrivederci.